Welcome to another episode of High Low News. Thank you guys. I took a little break. I had a vacation, but I'm so glad to be back. And this conversation is so important today. It's about mental health. We've been really heavy on that because of COVID-19 and the holidays, and it can be a really tough time. And I wanted to have a professional on the show to kind of break things down, give people tips, tools that they can use to get through the holiday season, and let them know what resources are out there to them. I have none other than Dr. Jasmine Davis. She goes by Dr. Jazz. She's a mental health and wellness counselor and administrator, and she's going to tell us everything that we need to know to get us through this holiday season. So, without further ado, let me bring Dr. Jazz onto the screen. Hey, Dr. Jazz. Hey, Dr. Jazz. How are you?
Well, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for joining me today. I know this is a busy time of year, so much is going on, but I really appreciate you taking time to come on to High News today.
Thank you for having me.
Are you welcome? I want to get to know a little bit about you and just let our audience know who you are. So tell us about your background. How did you get into mental health, into the mental health field and get involved with My Mental Health Miami?
So I am a program administrator for My Mental Health Miami, but my background, I have a doctorate in clinical psychology. So I don't think there's one thing that led me to being in mental health. I think it was different experiences and factors. I started off in a neighborhood, like low income neighborhood when I was a kid. And then I was moved to the suburbs. So you notice certain differences, like when you live in different neighborhoods, or you notice certain differences based on people's like ethnic or racial background and things that affect us. And my parents are very vocal about different things about mental health and culture and ethnicity and academics and all these things. And so I think the main thing that led me to be into mental health was I wanted to know what factors help people succeed in life and what factors hinder people, and how can you foster those factors that help, those protective factors or resiliency or all these different things that help people to succeed in life. And so that's how I got into mental health.
You know, Jasmine, you're a woman of color. You're a Black woman. We don't see a lot of women who look like us in this field. Did that play into it, or did you notice that? Like, can you speak to that and just the racial disparity of people of color in the mental health field?
So when I chose to be in the mental health field, I didn't know that. I found that out as I was going through undergrad. I did research. I had a mentor who, I didn't know anything about getting my doctorate. I just said, I want to help people, right? And they were like, oh, you can do psychology. I didn't know all the steps. So I actually started not even thinking about getting my doctorate. I had a mentor named Dr. Tara Bowen Reed. And she just sat me down and talked to me. And we did a lot of research together where I was finding out these different things of like why certain groups of people don't seek mental health services and how that impacts those people. And so she was saying like one of the reasons is that there aren't people who look like us. And then we went through the research and history of things that were done to Black people that make them not want to engage in the healthcare system or mental health system. And so I became aware of it after I had already decided to become a psychologist. But it definitely was a factor in me getting my doctorate, because you can get a master's in counseling, but there aren't that many of us with doctorates in clinical psychology.
Wow. And you definitely are a unicorn. I've been trying to switch to a new therapist, and finding a Black woman that you feel like you can relate to, that is within your network, within your price range, is so difficult. So I think people just even seeing you here today can see, okay, this is someone else that I can reach out to. I could go to her for services. Do you have your own practice, or do you work with organizations?
I do have my own practice. Oh, are you hearing a feedback? I'm sorry. I do have my own practice. I see clients. I have directories that I use. Therapy for Black Girls is one of them. PsychologyToday.com is another that can be used to find therapists. And I work on in contract with another company called Lotus Counseling Center. But I have my own practice where I see individual clients, I see couples, I see children to adults. And that's also helped me as far as being a program administrator for the COVID mental wellness program, is because I can understand the needs that people have that this program is addressing.
I love that. And we talked about a little bit about, or I mentioned COVID-19 and just the holidays being so stressful as is. What can people do this year, especially with coronavirus going around? What can people do to cope with the stress, the anxiety, the depression that this season already brings? And then we compound it with COVID-19. Like, what's your professional opinion on how to cope?
Right. We're seeing a lot of sorry, we're seeing a lot of escalation in symptoms. So, or people who are for their first time experiencing mental health issues who didn't have them before, or an exacerbation of symptoms that people already had, like anxiety or depression or what trauma, and it's being exacerbated by COVID-19 and all the things that come with it. The one thing that I've been recommending consistently that people do, well, one, if you are not functioning well, meaning these are things that will help you know if you're functioning well. If you're not eating right, if you're not sleeping okay, if you're not able to do the things, if you're not able to take pleasure in the things that you used to, not because you can't see friends, but maybe even talk, you're not interested in doing the things that you used to do. Not the things like where COVID has prevented you from doing things, but you also don't want to engage in things that you could do. Those are signs that you might need some help with your mental health. And so what I've been telling people in general, even if you feel like you don't have symptoms, is that we've been kind of like, a lot of people have been lying in wait. Like, oh, I'm just waiting for this to be over. So they've kind of put their lives on hold. And my advice is do not. So
Wow.
try to adapt your life as if this is not going to change. And then when it does, you adapt again. But waiting to try to find ways to engage with people. So whether you're doing Zoom calls with family or friends, whether you're social distance, some people quarantine for 14 days so that they can see someone, so that they can be in contact with someone. So try to adjust your life as if this is going to go on for some time. Hopefully it doesn't. But the idea of like, I'm not going to do anything until this is over, we can't function that way. So you want to try to adapt your life to this period as best you can. So find ways to socialize that are safe, whether it's, like I said, through video chat. People are getting on Zoom calls and playing games with each other, like they're doing all kinds of things. So find a way to adapt your life, engage like you would as if is going to keep on going. Don't just wait around for it to be over, because then we become depressed, we become detached, we become disconnected.
Man, you know what? I haven't heard that from someone, but it makes sense. And so what I see on social media, it's like the polarizing opposites. It's either I'm going to go out and COVID doesn't exist, and I'm going to super spreader events and don't care, or I'll see people who are like, I'm going to be a hermit. Nobody can touch me. Nobody can talk to me. I'm not going to do anything. And I just feel like the extreme of it is not good either way. But I love how you said find that balance. And even I've seen people who are like, they'll meet up in a parking lot or something, and everybody's at their car, sit at their car, and they'll, talk to, just to have that camaraderie, or they'll go out, go for a walk, or do certain things with people socially distant, so they still have that human connection. And I find that really important and interesting that you brought that up as something for people to still do, because you don't think that you should do it. It's like, you don't know, but for you to say that that's important for our mental health, I think that's really important for people to know.
Yes, I'm not recommending going to I'm not recommending going to super spreading events.
Yeah.
But try to adapt your life, even if it's in the house. Even if you're like, I don't want contact with anyone. Okay, well, video chat with people, like make dates with people virtually. We're social beings. We have to interact with other people, or it does something to us mentally. It does something to us that we're not accustomed to. So it's going to have a negative effect. So whether you want to be really safe and stay in the house, that's fine, but still try to find new ways to do things that you used to do. Don't cut everything. Like, don't not work out because you can't go to the gym. Don't, not talk to people because you can't see them.
Mm. Yeah. No, this is good stuff. And I hope some people who are watching are taking that in, and to know like there's a balance, and that being social is okay. Just find it within this new normal.
Yes.
I wanted to know, we see that COVID-19 is really affecting people's health. How can people be on the lookout for triggers that you know, that can set them off? Like, are there certain trends that within your field that you guys are seeing that people are having? And if so, like how can people control those triggers?
So finances are going to be a trigger.
Mm,
Anything to do with finances will be a trigger. Um, People are stuck in the houses with family members or roommates. Things around that can be a trigger because you're having more interaction with people than maybe you're used to, as far as the people that live in your household, not other people. Anything can really be a trigger. It is responding to it and understanding what's affecting you. So if you're noticing changes in your behavior, if you're more irritable, if you're finding like a lot less satisfaction in life, then it's doing something about that. But really, anything can be it's really to the individual. People that have had anxiety and depression, it's being, like I said, it's being exacerbated right now. So that's one thing
mm,
we're noticing in like relationships. If you don't know how to communicate or get along or compromise, that is becoming more problematic right now for people. So really anything can be a trigger, but it's understanding that you're being affected and then understanding that, because what we like to do is like, I'll be okay. I don't need to do
mm-hmm.
anything about this. I'll be fine. I'll just wait it out. And that leads to people having more problems, or that leads to people developing issues that they didn't have before. Whereas if you notice something has changed about your mood or your interaction or things I was mentioning before, sleep, eating, the best thing to do is get help immediately, because we have this idea that we have to figure out things on our own, and we don't. We don't always have to,
Yeah.
and we don't always know how. We just like to think that we do.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff. I want to know, Dr. Jasmine, from your, expertise, how can I or anyone, watching this handle anxiety regarding the uncertainty of our future? Like, how do you handle that? Because sometimes I can get anxiety. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? So how can someone manage that, especially with COVID-19?
Right. We have a lot of different anxiety. We have the anxieties that are coming with like cleanliness and germs right now. We have the anxiety of finances. We
That's a
have
good
the
one.
anxiety of when is this going to be over? People are having anxiety now about the vaccine, all kinds of stuff. And the main thing with anxiety is that usually it's coming from a valid place that is going to make us anxious or uncomfortable or worried. But then it's our thoughts about it and how we react to it that can make it worse. And so we
Mm,
can take an anxiety that's this big or this big, and our thoughts will make it this big. And so you want to try to focus on what is in your control. You want to try not to catastrophize. The catastrophizing is like, well, what if this happens? Then this could happen. Then it's like things that we don't know will happen, but we're worried about. And so what I like to do is say, ask yourself what's the worst that can happen, and then answer that question. What would you do about it? Um,
mm,
Ask yourself what can you control and what can't you control, and try to focus on the things that you can control. But a lot of life, not just with this is just highlights it. A lot of life is uncertainty. We just like to think that we know what's going to happen. And so
that's
anxiety
true.
is about tolerating uncertainty and telling yourself, like, no matter what happens, I will try to address it and adapt to it, and I'm likely to be okay. And if I'm not okay for a period of time, I try to figure out what I need to become okay. So it's
Mm,
trusting that we'll adapt to whatever problems that we may have. That's what helps anxiety the most. Is like, I have the capacity to adapt to the problems that I may have, even if in order to adapt, I have to seek help on how to do it, but I can do it.
yeah. This is good stuff. You helping me because I'm like, okay, let me take these tools in. I'm gonna definitely rewatch this video and take this all in. Um, Dr. Jasmine, from a cultural perspective, do you find that African Americans or Black people in the diaspora, do we tend to normalize stressful situations? And how do we overcome that?
We are socialized. We have been socialized for some time, for many generations, to just tolerate a lot of stress. High levels of stress is almost built, it's built into our systems, it's built into the way that we talk about problems, where it's just like you need to just figure this out and cope with it. There's nothing, or just live with it, right? Like I just have to live with how I'm feeling. I'm not feeling happy. I'm not feeling content. I'm feeling stressed all the time. But this is life. And so Black people often don't realize you don't have to live that way. Even if you have problems, yes, we have problems and we have stressful events or experiences and things that we have to live with. But there are things that you may not know about that can help you deal with those situations better, where it's not as stressful, it's not as heavy. There are things that you can learn how to do, or ways that you can learn how to see things, change your perspective, learn coping tools and other things that will make life a lot better. But instead, we're just like, I just have to push through this. I just keep having to push, holding all this weight. I don't know what to do with it, but this is just how I have, this is just how it is. And it doesn't have to be that way. But because we're taught that, we don't realize it.
That's the part. Because I've never seen anybody in my family ever talk about mental health. Nobody's gone through it. If they are, it's a secret, or it's like, hush hush, it's taboo.
Stigma.
So yeah, the stigma of it all. So like you said, it's something that it's a learned behavior that we're like, okay, something traumatic happens, something stressful happens, and we just keep going like as if it's normal.
Yeah, because we're being traumatized all the time.
Mm, that's good.
Yeah.
You good over
Yeah.
there?
Yeah. I'm hearing the feedback. I don't know if, are you hearing the feedback?
No, I don't hear the
Oh,
feedback. You're
okay.
good.
Then it's fine. I'm trying to make sure you can hear me without the feedback. Um, yeah, it's stigma because we're taught you need to just be strong, whatever that means to people. Like you're being weak if you need help. Or if,
Yeah.
and the help that we're getting is just really learning. It's the same way you get help with math. It's the same way you get help with anything that you have to do at work where somebody has to train you how to do it. We're not trained on how to do certain things as far as functioning, other than like push through. And so really when you go to therapy, all you're doing is learning tools, and that you're the one doing all the work. The therapist doesn't isn't like wave anything and fix you. It's not like, oh, strength. You develop an understanding and do things, but we have this idea that if you need help in learning things, that you're weak or there's something, terribly wrong with you, or that if you have a mental health issue, there's a stigma that comes with that. It's not something that's normalized, but a lot of people have mental health issues. They just don't recognize that that's what it is. They call it other things. I'm tired,
Yeah.
I'm stressed, I'm burnt out. Um, they don't call it what it is. And so I think understanding that it doesn't mean anything negative about you, that you need to learn something from somebody else to help you function better. And to me, if you can teach me how to better have a better life, I'm listening.
That's it. It's not a weakness. It's like, okay, let's have the best peaceful life, managing our emotions and our stress and our triggers as possible. It's not a weakness. So I'm so happy that like people like you and my mental health Miami as being a resource and a beacon for the community to know this is not, there's a better way to do this and it's okay. And I wanted to talk about my mental health Miami. What are some of the resources that the program provides to deal with things that you mentioned as far as like the triggers and anxiety? Like what are some resources there?
So the first thing that they're doing is helping people to understand what if they're having any difficulties. So they'll let you, by taking that survey, it lets you know, like if you have a heightened experience of anxiety right now, if you're experiencing um, heightened depression levels. And so the first thing that they're doing is saying like, hey, I don't know if you think this is normal, but you have some things that, or that, if you think this is okay, but you're having some issues that you may want to address. And so that's the first thing that they're doing. Then they're reaching out to people to say, these are all the resources that we have, and asking people what do they need as well. But they have, and just about any kind of resources that you need, they can refer you to, or help, especially mental health, they can help you with. So they're referring people to environmental resources. They're referring people to how to get their help with rent, help with their electricity, help with food, mental health services, help with jobs, even people like in the hospitality industry. So they're connecting people to all these resources that are in Miami-Dade, and then they're also providing mental health services to people. So
That's
it's a lot
awesome.
of different services. And even if you don't know what you need, even talking to one of the coordinators, they can help guide you as far as what services might benefit you right now.
And you're the COVID-19, you said wellness administrator. Like, can you tell me about your role with doing that with My Mental Health Miami?
Yeah, so My Mental Health Miami has several partners that they work with in trying to access people to help them get the services that they need. And so I work closely with New Horizons Community Mental Health Center. They're really excellent. They're one of the partners that they're the lead agency in providing the mental health services to participants. And they connect participants to a lot of the other services that they need that we were talking about, like environmental resources, career resources, things like that. They help connect people to those resources. And so what I do is basically help assist them in getting their work done, because they're out there in the field, that they're connecting with people, they're getting us the information that we need and people that we need to contact, and then helping connect people to the resources. So I'm just aiding them in doing that.
Awesome. And how can people connect with you? Like, if they wanted to, I guess, get services through My Mental Health Miami or even your private practice, how can people connect with you?
So you can go onto the website for My Mental Health Miami, um,
Hmm.
and you can get services that way. I'm on. If you want to speak to me directly, I'm on Instagram, Ask Dr. Jazz, and you can connect with me through my email as well at askdrjazz@gmail.com. So those are some good ways to connect with me.
Okay, it's Ask Dr. Jazz, because I want to make sure, I want to put it on the screen for everyone um, to make sure that they follow you. So I'm going
Yes,
to put it up.
ask, like if you have a question, ask Dr. Jazz.
Okay. Is this it here? I'm putting it there.
Yes, that's it.
So that's good for social media. If you guys want to connect with Dr. Jazz, you can connect with her there. And like you said, on My Mental Health Miami. My
And
last question for you is, why should people not take this resource for granted? Like, because you're in the industry, like about mental health care, what it costs, what it involves. Like, why shouldn't people take My Mental Health Miami for granted, and why should they utilize it?
oh, and yeah, and let me just also say they have a Facebook page, and My Mental Health Miami also has an Instagram page, so you can connect those ways as well. They have social media pages because sometimes people like prefer social media rather than websites.
That's
So
true.
this program is important because they are out there connecting with people who may not be seeking services on their own, but who need them. That's the first thing that they're doing that's really important. It's like some people that need help are not necessarily out there seeking it, but if someone is like, hey, can you stop a minute to see if maybe you need some help with what's going on right now? So that's the first thing that they're doing that's really important, is like outreach and connecting with the residents of Miami-Dade. The other thing that they're doing is they're focusing on mental health in a way that I don't know that other programs are. And so by assessing people's mental health, so they have by taking the survey and having an assessment to, like, we experience it as stress, and stress is normalized. So we may not realize that actually all the stress that we're experiencing is depression, or it's anxiety over, whatever the different factors are that might be affecting us right now. So that's another thing that they're doing, and the way that they're connecting people with the various resources, not just one, but they're also providing mental health services. So they have brief therapy that New Horizons is offering to people that are affected by COVID-19, and they offer services on a sliding scale, but they also offer services to people who can't afford them at all. So they're doing a lot of good work as far as connecting with people in the community and then linking them to services.
Oh, that's awesome. And what I just did, I just added the link. You mentioned the survey, like an entry survey. So anyone who wants to take that survey, the link is right there on the screen. We'll also put it in the description box so you guys can connect to it as well. So people, because that survey,
And it
it
only
allows you
takes
to like take an assessment and kind of see where you are, like right now, where your mental state is.
Yes, and it only takes 10 minutes to do. And then someone will contact you as far as getting resources that you may need.
That's awesome. Dr. Jasmine, I really appreciate you taking time to come on. I love your voice too. I would love you as my therapist. I'm like, I would be on there pouring out my heart to you. But
Thank you.
I really, really appreciate this and breaking it down and giving us that professional perspective on mental health and why it's important and how to cope with the holidays with COVID-19 as well. So I have the link at the bottom of the screen for anyone who would like to take the survey. Also, you can go to mymentalhealthmiami.com. You can connect with them on Facebook and Instagram as well. I have that scrolling on the bottom of the screen. Dr. Jasmine, is there any other tips or advice you want to give us before we head out, or anything that you would like to let the people know about?
I think the other thing that I think is important to mention is right now they're even giving people incentives so that if you give your email, the accurate email when you take the survey, you get entered into a chance to win a $250 gift card. I think they're giving 10 people can win. So that's something like if you would want to take the survey for that. But as far as tips, I would say check in with yourself. If you're not doing well, there's help out there for you, and don't be ashamed to get it. And also, when you get mental health services, if you are, no one has to know. That's the best thing about mental health services is that it's confidential. So nobody needs to know if you don't want anybody to know that you're seeking services.
Man, I love that. And you said if there's a chance to win $250 gift card.
Yes, if you take the
Oh,
survey, you get entered into a chance to win a $250 gift card. You just have to enter
everybody.
your email address.
Okay, everybody take that survey. We all can use the extra coin during the holidays. So
Right.
make sure that's another incentive, as if you needed another one because
Right.
this research is so great. You have another one. $250 gift card. Complete the questionnaire with your email, and you get a chance to win that. Dr. Jasmine, I appreciate you. You guys connect with her at Ask Dr. Jazz. I'll put that back up on the screen just in case someone wanted to get that as well. And I just want to thank you again for breaking that down. And I thank you for the work that you're doing in the community. It's so needed, and we all need to take better care of our mental health.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Guys, this is another episode of High Low News. Dr. Jasmine was dope. I love that. I was trying not to get too deep with her and ask her my own personal questions because I can use the help, but we all can. And it's not a stigma. It's not a bad thing to go and make sure you take care of your mental health. Be sure to connect to the link on mymentalhealthmiami.com to take the questionnaire. You get a chance to win $250 gift card. If you enter your email address, guys, we all need to take care of our mental health, especially during the holidays, especially with COVID-19. My Mental Health Miami is providing that for us in the community. Anyone in Dade County, make sure you tell someone. It takes less than 10 minutes to do it. This is so important for us to make sure that we take care of our mental health. Again, thank you for watching another episode of High Low News. Make sure you like and subscribe. Tell a friend, subscribe to our newsletter. And thank you as always for watching. You guys have a good day. Bye.